Welcome to Gun Club. My name is Aaron. Welcome to a show that is I think long overdue. We're talking about weapon mounted lights. Are you doing it wrong? Are you doing it right? Should you even get one? That's a big question that a lot of people have. They have their handgun, especially if you say you're new to guns, right? You buy your handgun and maybe you have it, and then you see somebody's like, "Hey, there's some attachments you can get. You can get a laser, you can get a red dot optic on top, you can change out your iron sights." You know, people who get Glocks, they're always like, "You got first thing you got to change on that is your iron sights." And other people are like, "Never buy guns. You got to change things on." But should you get a weapon mounted light? In my hands right now, I have a TLR 7X. This is a pretty standard weapon light. It's a version of the TLR 7A, and I like it. But is it worth it for me to go out and change my holsters to be accommodating to that? Because truthfully, that's one of the cons of weapon mounted lights. So I have a few things I want to get through, a short list of thoughts on if you should get some of these things or not. Maybe even like some objections that you might have, and also some answers to those objections. So let's go ahead and start from the top and kind of discuss some of the issues that you might run into with weapon mounted lights. There's like 10 main issues that I'm seeing. So the inherent challenges of weapon mounted lights is they do add a little bit of bulk and a little bit of weight. You might say, well, that's pretty small. Like, that's not a big deal. Or if you have an X300, which is a bit bigger, it is going to add some weight. And you can tell that because when you shoot a handgun with a weapon mounted light versus shooting one without it, you do see that recoil pattern change. And sometimes people actually want that additional weight. But if a gun is perfectly balanced without the light and you start to add different weights and counterweights, it may change the overall balance of the firearm. And hey, that might just kind of suck for you. That said, most people do like a little bit of weight in the front. It kind of helps to even it out. And so I'd say maybe test it out, see if that works for you. Yeah, so that usually is pretty manageable. It's not going to add like 10 pounds to your gun, I promise. That said, these actually all weapon mounted lights depend on batteries. These are pretty easy. You just kind of unscrew the front cap and pop out the battery. And this battery on the TLR 7X, this is not an ad for TLR 7X, but this one actually has a little USB-C hole in the front, which will give you the ability to recharge it and go. Others have the CR123A battery and different variants, which can kind of be a little bit harder because those are harder to find, harder to get. They kind of cost not like a ton, but they cost money. They're not free. And then you go from, okay, like where do I get these batteries? I got to order them. Okay, maybe I order like a 10 pack, a 20 pack. And how long does the light last as I'm using it to train? Okay, well, this battery is rated to run for like an hour at max brightness. Or with the OLED, which many people do not recommend just because they have a funny track record. That it's like the first few minutes of having the light on, you get max brightness, but after time, it starts to degrade, which may not be a big deal because momentary on. The batteries are so fickle when it comes to these things that you just want to kind of stick to a good brand and go from there. And truthfully, honestly, is it a big deal? Just buy a pack of batteries and kind of keep it moving. So that's my answer. If you are concerned about getting a weapon mounted light because of batteries, that's easily handled. Now, maintenance. What kind of what kind of maintenance does a weapon mounted light require? Not much, actually. Let's be real. The only maintenance is changing the battery and actually making sure this lens cap in the front, that little piece of glass that allows you to shine the light out, that needs to stay pretty clear. So if you're practicing shooting, if it's mounted to your gun when you're on the range and whatnot, and you put 100, 200, 300, 500 rounds down range, that powder that comes out the front of your gun is going to end up on the actual lens and then cause you to kind of get some clouding. And you're just going to want to clean that off. There's different solutions to help clean that off without damaging the glass. And that's just a part of being a gun owner. Honestly, that's something you gotta do. But if you're not ready to do that, maybe consider, count the cost before you make that decision. So here's another concern that I've seen, and actually, I still have this concern with weapon mounted lights, although it's getting better, and I'll say that is there is only so much range that you have with these things. But here's the counter to that: how far are you trying to see with a light that's mounted to your gun? You trying to see 100 yards? You trying to see 200 yards? Now, if you're kind of in a life and death situation, which I hope you're not, I really hope you're not, you may have you may see a threat that's 50 yards away, but he's, actively engaging you. There's actively violence happening, and you need to be able to kind of bring the light onto that subject to make sure that you can have positively ID exactly what's happening, as you have also identified that he's also a threat. That's a big deal. So I should note that I'm not a lawyer. None of this is legal advice, but you do want to make sure that you are studying up on your local and state law to ensure that you are up to date on what you can and can't do to defend your life legally. Because at the end of the day, that's on you. You got to take care of yourself. Here's actually a really big deal. We talked about legal advice. Let me actually go back, because we talked about limited range. So people often mistake lumens with candela. People will say, "Oh man, this light has 1,000 lumens or 600 lumens. That's really bright." It is, but that's not what gives you range. The range is what's called candela, and if you are familiarize yourself with that, go on Google and just kind of see, what kind of candelas will get you, what kind of lumen outputs will get you appropriate range. And you can decide with your lifestyle what is going to work for you and what's just not going to work. And moving on to my next point, there are some legal implications with using a weapon mounted light, especially if you do not quite think through the process. And I'm hoping that as you watch this content, watch my content, watch other people's, and we actually have a guest coming in a little bit later, as this is still live stream, even though I'm probably going to clip this front portion out to make sure you guys can see it kind of easily. No one can kind of be there for you in these situations, so you need to understand the law. And if you point a firearm at somebody saying like, "Hey, I have this light. I think I need to see what's going on. I'm going to pull this gun out to use this light as a flashlight," that's a really bad idea. In many states, it's aggravated assault. In many states, it's considered brandishing, and you can go to jail for that. So please, I would say carry a secondary light, some sort of handheld flashlight. Streamlight makes the wedge. There's all sorts of lights that are from $20 all the way up to a couple $100 that will give you adequate lumens, brightness, candela, and give you the ability to see what the heck is going on. So please make sure that you always use your handheld flashlight until you're actually justified to point a firearm at something, because if not, you've committed aggravated assault. That means assault with a weapon. So please don't do that. And here, another point, and this is a big deal. You can actually accidentally reveal your position if you use a flashlight. Now, does that mean you shouldn't? We'll get into that. So if you are pretty confident that you are in a life and death situation and you are kind of in a concealed position, and you people don't know where you are, but you pull out a weapon mounted light or even a handheld flashlight, and you do not practice discipline with that, light discipline, and you activate that flashlight, everybody knows where you are. So this is beyond just weapon mounted lights. This is handheld lights. This is even cell phones and stuff like that. If you are hiding for your life, just be mindful to, not give away your position. I know it's pretty simple. Like, I don't even know if I have to say that, except that guys in training classes have to go over that again and again and again. I'm not a low light instructor, so please don't mistake me or misunderstand me by saying, "Oh, this guy knows what he's doing." I don't. I'm just trying to give you some basic information so you can go maybe take a class and do some research and become better equipped so that you can kind of take things to the next level and be able to defend yourself more competently, be safe and effective with what you're doing. So I'm going to briefly touch on this. weapon mounted lights and different gear and kit that we have. You have this cool gun. I'm not going to pull the gun up because we are on live stream. And if you do a live stream, you can't show guns on the screen. But if you have a firearm, sometimes it gives people a false sense of security. You carry a knife. Oh man, this guy's going to mess with me. I got a knife on me. I got a gun on me. I've got a gun with a light and a red dot and all these cool gadgets and gizmos. I'm not against gadgets and gizmos. I think they're extremely important. Get your gadgets and gizmos, but learn how to use them, because that training that you put behind these gadgets and gizmos is probably twice as important as the actual item. Because at the end of the day, it's all worth nothing if you can't use it. It's all worth nothing if you pull that firearm out thinking that, okay, I'm justified to pull it, but I'm not ready to pull it. I need to use this light to positive ID. I'm going to hit the switch for the light, and you pull the trigger because you do not have the muscle memory and the discipline to actually actuate these switches and items without doing things you don't intend to do. So please, at the end of the day, like I know I'm going down the list, train. Please actually get your gun out, clear the ammo out, and do some dry fire drills. Learn how to actually activate the lights. If you have a light, learn how to use it without going crazy. I do see some comments coming in. We'll address those as we actually get to our talking portion when we bring our guest Sierra in. But we got a few more things we want to talk about. We already talked about accidental discharge and potential, because if you're in a self-defense situation, it's stressful. Your fine motor skills are gone. But here's a story, and it's got to be fake, right? This has got to be a fake story. Somebody was like, yeah, so this cop came and he helped. I was stuck on the side of the road, and this cop came out, and we needed a light. It was dusk. It was getting real dark, and this cop, he pulled out his weapon and turned on the flashlight and was like, yeah, we'll help you change this tire using a weapon mounted light that's still attached to the gun, not even removed, just like still on the gun. And that is stupid. Don't do that. That's extremely dangerous. And in many states, there's brandishing laws, et cetera, et cetera. So please do not do that. Carry a handheld light, carry that in your pocket, carry that in a bag. Actually, I carry a mani pack or a fanny pack, depending on how you like to say it. And I keep that thing with me, and I always have a light in there, and I like to keep an extra light somewhere else. And just be prepared. I'm not saying be paranoid and crazy and over-prepared, but be prepared. That said, here's some conclusive points that I wanted to make sure you just get it, okay? So, yes, lights, there's a lot that comes with it, but half of our life is spent in darkness. Like from 6 o'clock to 6 o'clock, it's getting dark. So if you're anywhere outside of your house, and even outside of your house, you may want to actually keep some sort of weapon mounted light or flashlight ready to go and just ready. So, and if you are in a low light situation, some people are like, yeah, I got my night sights, I got this, I got a red dot, but they cannot positively identify somebody's hands, let's say 25 yards away, which isn't very far. Like, it's not far at all. So being able to positively identify stuff, improve your target identification, and even kind of improve your situational awareness, because if you even do use your weapon mounted light, you can bounce it off the floor to kind of flood the area. There's some different techniques. I'm not going to get into all of them because I think you should go take a low light class. I think that would be helpful to you, and we'll go from there. So, I think we got it all. I think we talked about the pros and the cons of using weapon mounted light. And at the end of the day, I think you should get one. You don't have to get this one. They didn't ask me to talk about this one. I just had this available. At some point, they did send it to me. So full disclosure, I didn't buy this one. But there are plenty of lights you can buy from a lot of different companies. So do some research. Go get one and train with it, please. Please and thank you.